Well, I always wanted to be a writer. If you ask me when I decided that I wanted to be a writer, I would say it was when I was 8 years old. And exactly that happened when, after reading my first novel, that was White Fang, Jack London. I was so fascinated by this small thing, the book where you could find so many things. And after reading, I tried to write something myself, a short story about a wolf. And since then, I began to say that I wanted to be a writer, and also that I wanted to be a comic designer.
Yeah.
And I said this for so many years, always postponing the moment when I had to begin, probably because of fear. If there is something that you really want to do, usually you are scared of trying and of not succeeding. And then when I was very close to my 40s, I thought that time is not everlasting. And so I began to write my first novel that is now Involuntary Witness. This is the very few words in the story. When I begin to write a novel, usually I have two things. I have the beginning with 2 or maybe 3 characters that meet. There is a conflict and there's a problem among them or between them. But I really don't know the nature of the problem. But there is a problem and there is a conflict. And then I know the end of the novel. Before beginning to write, I know where I'm going. I don't know the path, and this is the writing. But I don't like planning or outlining, because I think that you should leave your character somehow free to transform, to get something different. That usually happens, and interesting characters are those who change during the writing. This is my so-called method. That is, as you can see, not a method.
Okay.
There are many, of course, and usually you find in my books what I really like. Usually they are not autobiographical books, but from this point of view, they are. That usually some characters like what I like, but of course there are so many things that I'm very much fond of. And if you ask me the same question tomorrow, I say different things. But today I can say that my favorite #1 author in history of literature is probably Kafka. And I would say, speaking about English language writer, I like many Americans, especially John Steinbeck is probably my favorite, and among the French, Georges Simenon, and among the Italian, Calvino and Sciascia. But I repeat, ask me the same question tomorrow and you'll get different answers. It's about ambiguity of existence and about people that look different from what they really are. That is not a new topic, of course. That's my interpretation of the topic. Okay, and of course it's in the dress of the crime story. It's a story about time that passes and the necessity of facing this and trying to find in the past reasons to stay alive now, and trying to think that you are younger than you are, and I repeat about appearances and the substances of things and of people. For the previous novel, everybody told me, oh, this is crime, this is noir, this is... They weren't. They are, you're right, legal thrillers, but for sure not detective stories. And after having been told so many times that I wrote crime stories, detective stories, and it was not true, I decided, okay, I'm going to write one. And this is a detective story. Not typical one, because he is not a detective, he's a lawyer, but the structure is of the frame is of a detective story. It's a typical who did it